I'm only half posh, but unfortunately it's a dominant gene. It's like baldness. I'm half posh, half Catholic, by the way. Which is the worst combination. Half posh, half Catholic. I call everyone father. And that's tough. It's been a tough year for the Catholics. Earlier this year, the Pope died. And then, what's worse than that? We got an American Pope, which is the worst possible. Oh, have you seen Pope Leo? We've now got a Pope that probably legally owns a gun. We've got a school shooter Pope. Pope, 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 Pope. Nobody wants an American Pope. The Vatican News, which is one of my favorite outlets, the day Pope Leo was elected, they wrote an article and they called him the least American of all Americans. And they put that in the pro column for why he should be Pope. I think that's a good call. You don't want like an all-American Pope. Donald Trump tweeted a picture of himself as Pope. And some people genuinely thought he might run. You don't want Trump. He's the most American of all Americans. Trump puts the SA in USA. Right, switch on. Trump can't be Pope. Trump's 79 years old. He's too young. Trump can't be Pope. All of Trump's allegations were made by women. Oh, read a book. Come to my shows if you don't know anything. I'm aware it's a bit hacky to take the piss out of the Catholic Church. I'm not the first comedian to make jokes about the Catholic Church. However, I am the first comedian that is legally old enough to be a priest, but looks more like a victim. No, I grew up Catholic. I've got some family members that are still Catholic, and, I grew up during that whole scandal. I remember my priest at the time. He that's not the joke, but that's what the rest of you could be doing, to be honest. Think ahead. I remember when that whole scandal came out, my priest at my church told me that it's fine because every priest that did something wrong was adequately punished. Now, I'm not sure if that's true. But I did some research, I looked into it, and the most common punishment handed out by Pope Francis was called a life of prayer and penance, right? No, and that's a real punishment handed out by the Vatican court, which is one of my favorite courts. And if you don't know what that entails, the definition of a life of prayer and penance is you have to dedicate the rest of your life to spiritual development, confession, and prayer. Now, I thought that was the job. In the first place, the punishment can't be the same as the crime. That's ridiculous. That's like last year. I don't know if you saw in Wandsworth prison, there was that female police officer that had sex with the inmate. Yeah, you're nodding like you've got it on your phone. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was a female police officer at Wandsworth prison. She had sex with an inmate, and she obviously lost her job. It went viral on Twitter. And then about 2 months ago over summer, she was sentenced to 15 months in jail. Right. The punishment can't be the same as the crime. If we have priests having sex with kids in churches, we can't lock them in church. If we have a female police officer having sex with inmates, we can't lock her back in prison. What are we going to do to P. Diddy? We can't lock him in the Johnson's baby oil factory. Okay, we found the line. We found the line. Good. Good. The P. Diddy stuff's gone well. I feel bad taking the piss out of the church because I actually had a really Good time. I went to church every Sunday for about 10 years. My mum took me to church. My mum doesn't really believe in God. She just likes going to church. She finds them very calming places. My mum kind of took me to church the same way country folk take their dogs to the pub. My mum would kind of drag me along and then be like, there's not a lot in here for you. But it's cruel to leave you in the car. So I went. I went every Sunday for 10 years, and I had a lot of fun. If anything, I had too much fun. I'll give you an example. To pass the time at Mass, me and my friends, we used to like to play a game called, Can You Get the Priest to Lick Your Fingers? No. Hold on. You don't even know the rules. Right, if you're not Catholic, I should explain. Halfway through Mass, you go and collect communion. And that is when you go and collect the body of Christ. Which part of the body? They never explain. It's more of a mixed meat stew situation. That's why it's free, okay? And me and my friends, we used to go up, and there's two ways to collect communion. Any good Catholic knows this. The first way to collect communion is you can go up like a beggar, and you can lap it up like a cat, right? That's second base communion. Third base communion is, and they never explain why, you can go up to the priest hands by your side, mouth open, and just kind of let the priest play you like a slot machine. So me and my friends, we used to compete to see who could go up with the smallest aperture. And still get the priest to, you know, when you're going for that final Pringle in the Pringle can, kind of. So I used to go up every Sunday like Katie Price after shit Botox, just. I'm just saying, looking back on that whole scandal, I think the kids might have been part of the problem.